Hello there, and welcome back to ZeroXP. We are a podcast looking to celebrate fandom, one game or one game series at a time. I'm John, and I'm here with my co-host this week, who, if he doesn't get announced what he wants announced at the Xbox Showcase, he's going to be more annoying than a kid you're trying to rescue from a hog cave. My co-host, Patrick.
Hello.
We look forward to you joining us on our journey today. It's going to be a little bit different than usual. This is an episode that we're calling a bonus XP, as we're not going to be covering Fable exclusively because there's a certain event coming up that we're looking forward to. The Xbox Showcase takes place Thursday, July 23rd, and we thought we would give our thoughts, impressions, and predictions for what's coming up.
Before we get started, I think it's important to note that they came out this week and said that there will be no business or console discussion. Just games.
Are you good with that?
I mean, it's fine. I'm glad that they said it in advance, but I'm not really so far a big fan of these smaller events. I prefer when they just give you everything all at once. I was hoping to maybe get a console price or, I already knew previously we weren't going to learn about a new console, but Ubisoft's event, I liked what they showed, but it left me underwhelmed that they're like, oh, and we're going to show more later.
I agree. I think that's my thing. That's where, a lot of people seemed happy with the demise of E3 this year. I prefer the whole shebang. I would rather have it all at one time, and I'd rather have it rapid fire, if I'm going to be honest. I know that COVID has stopped a lot of that from happening, and it's caused some delays. So things can't quite be the way that we are used to. But I miss the big, here's everything you're going to know, and I missed it from Sony because, I think there's a rumored Sony presentation going on in August. And
another Xbox One in August.
Xbox One in August, yeah. And, we're just out in the pasture waiting on Nintendo to say anything.
They'll just come out one day before and be like, oh yeah, we're doing an event tomorrow and here's 10 new games.
I'd be okay with that.
It feels like that tends to be what they do.
Well, in years past, though, they would do a thing where it's like E3 would be okay, and then they'd have their Direct in September, and they would just blow the roof off the place, like, here's everything. But I don't think that's possible right now because everybody's working at home. So I don't think it's going to work the way that it's worked traditionally.
They might focus on one big game that's upcoming like they did with Smash Brothers.
I'd be okay. I'm still aching for them to announce that Mario Galaxy Sunshine and what was the other one? Was it 64 remake?
Yeah, I think that's
compilation.
What they said,
yeah,
or was rumored at least.
That is literally the Futurama meme. Take my money. Just please give me that.
And like the rest of the world, I just want to see Pokemon Snap.
Oh, yeah. That's, who would have thought that finally that's coming out?
And then they just did it they were just like, oh yeah, and by the way, Pokemon Snap, I know you guys have been asking about a sequel for 20 years.
No hype.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm I'm not a big Pokemon guy, but for whatever reason, I loved Snap.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like it all right, but Snap, it was really weird how they made a photography game, also a puzzle game, because I believe I rented it just to see how the heck this works as a game. And early on, I made Pikachu mad. I think I threw an apple at him, and he got all angry, and then I forget what it was. It's been a long time, but something came out from an egg that was standing nearby, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. I really got to look at everything.
We were kids. This was the let's go rent something from Blockbuster era. So, I was like, why is he renting a Pokemon game? And then, we played the heck out of it.
Yep.
So, I don't know. It's funny. But that's a different conversation, probably for a different show. Or hit us up on Twitter with that stuff because we can talk about video games all day long.
Yep.
But I guess what we're going to do to start things off this week is kind of run down each studio that Microsoft owns and give our predictions and some hopes of what we're wanting to see from them. And then towards the back end of the show, we are going to get to what's near and dear in our hearts and the basis of our normal podcast and talk about Fable and what we hope to see announced, what we think will actually be announced, and kind of what our hopes are for a next Fable game. So hopefully it'll be a good conversation, and I really hope that we can hear from everybody listening or watching our YouTube, because I'm telling you, I could have this conversation about speculation and what we want and what could be probably for hours, but we're going to try to keep the podcast short enough for you. So let's go ahead and just get started. I'm going to go there and get it out of the way first, because it's probably going to be one of the biggest things or the biggest portions of the showcase, and I'm talking about 343 Industries Halo Infinite. I don't know. I'm excited to see what it's going to be. We know we're going to see actual campaign footage for the first time and see kind of what the game's going to be about. I think this is going to be a full reveal. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a full reveal, as many years as it's been teased. I mean, I'm not the biggest Halo fan. I played through a few of them. They're good, but it's not really something I'm passionate about. But I am interested because they've been off for 5 years. It sounds like they wanted to go back and retool a lot. Maybe this is an opportunity for 343 to make it a little bit more their own rather than trying to recreate what Bungie did in the past.
And I think that would be a good idea, because really with Halo, the last one was not well received. People did not seem happy with it. Admittedly, I have not played it.
I haven't played that one either.
I meant to, and I don't begrudge anything. But I didn't get around to it. There's, all kinds of speculation going on that maybe this is going to be an open world game. I would not be surprised to see, a good full 10-minute presentation on this, maybe more. I think we're probably going to get some studio footage and along with the gameplay.
I wouldn't be surprised, because they just basically said that they were more open. If it was several different regions, but they were almost the size of what you would think about as worlds, because this is supposed to be one of the most expensive games ever made, and the first time 343 has had this kind of time to put into a game. It's been 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm excited to see what it is. I'm sure it's going to be pretty, so that'll be neat. And if they do give us, the varying environments, it could be something really special.
I am looking forward to it, even not being a big fan of the series.
So next we've got Compulsion Games, who's known for making We Happy Few. Do you think we're going to see anything from them? They've been kind of quiet.
I don't think we're going to see anything, but I don't have any information as to why I don't think we'll see anything. I guess because it was a very small studio, and I'm going to be continuously saying this. They hired a bunch of people and they're growing. All these studios, they didn't just buy them, they're growing them. But it seems a little bit too early in.
I tend to agree. Also, since they don't have a large back catalog, it's kind of hard to get a feel for what they might be looking to. We Happy Few, I think it was given kind of in the 7 out of 10 range, was definitely unique. Definitely it looked different, and I'm kind of anxious to see what they have in mind for what comes next.
I would like to see them dive into something a bit more story driven like they started out. I don't know if maybe they didn't have the time or the funding, but early on in that game it was more story driven, and then it seemed to get away from that. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Next up, there's Double Fine, which is one of my favorite studios, just because of the sheer weirdness that comes out of that group.
They're definitely that studio that makes games that people like, but never sell the best. For sure.
It's too bad too, and in a way, it's kind of, I think that's made them, not an indie darling, because they're not an indie anymore, but a studio that a lot of people root for. They're known obviously for Psychonauts and Brutal Legend, which if you didn't play was so good.
Yeah, you need to play Brutal Legend.
And Broken Age, which was another great one. We know Psychonauts 2 is coming.
Yes.
Right? I think there's going to be there's also this that we're working on too.
There are some rumors out there that do make sense. A lot of people are talking about Banjo-Kazooie, maybe, but not this early in. I would imagine that would be something that'd be announced.
I wonder if that's more wishful thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but if they wanted to do one, I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox was like, yeah, we have the IP, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to see a Banjo from them. I think it could be, because Banjo's quirky and weird anyways. I mean, it seems right up their alley. But when they've got Psychonauts 2, about to come out, I think it might be a holiday game. I could be wrong.
I think it is this year. I could be wrong.
But I don't see them going, hey, here's a big platformer followed by another big platformer being announced right after.
It'll be a while before we see any bigger releases because, once again, they're hiring a lot of people.
Right. So I think I could see something small coming out of them. I think that studio is going to benefit from Game Pass, maybe more than a lot of studios do.
There's a rumor floating around about an Iron Brigade sequel that's more multiplayer focused, which I could actually see.
That could be neat. I could also go for Brutal Legend 2. I'm just throwing that out into the world.
Of course we want Brutal Legend 2, but
I'm not even a big metal, fan, but that game was so good.
It's hilarious.
Okay, so after that we've got In Exile Entertainment, who's known for Bard's Tale and Wasteland. So I think it's another one that is pretty straightforward. They've been working on Wasteland 3.
I wouldn't expect to see anything more than Wasteland 3 from them.
Yep, I'm kind of in the same boat.
I am intrigued to see what that studio will do when it gets larger, though, because, the scale of their games are always, a lot of people really love them, but they're definitely smaller.
Yes.
But story heavy. I think it'd be interesting to see maybe in the future Wasteland as an open world, 3D game.
I had the same thought, weirdly. And that's kind of the thing that's going to be intriguing to see these kind of fledgling studios is they're going to have a bigger budget available than they've ever had before, and they're stable, so they don't have to worry about if they can keep on staff,
which has always been a huge issue with Double Fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see.
And Obsidian.
But I think that's pretty straightforward, though. It's just we'll see some Wasteland 3 footage and probably some. I do think we're going to get a lot of the talking head stuff, someone sitting in front of a camera saying, this is how we're approaching this, blah, 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 which I like that stuff. So, I'm good with that. I just don't want too much. I really do think that they need to come out and take some swings, like really.
Well, Xbox really has to sell this generation. Yeah. They have to sell it hard.
Well, in Sony's game show that they had last month, I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
There wasn't anything that really just made me lose my mind as far as like jaw dropping or mic drop moments, whatever you want to call it. But out of what they showed, I'm like, hey, that's a strong lineup. That looks good.
Yeah, at least just for early in.
Yep. Then another big one is Mojang. Is it Mojang or Mojang?
I don't know.
It's a name. But anyways, obviously
who we're talking about.
Yeah, you'd have to. Minecraft, how can you miss it? My expectations is we'll probably see here's an Xbox Series X feature pack that's going to come out, and it's going to be free for anybody that
Maybe we'll see a ray tracing demo at this point.
I could see that, yeah. Which the videos are out there. People know that it exists. And I could also see some DLC for
or a roadmap.
Oh, see, I was thinking DLC for Minecraft Dungeons.
That's what I mean, Minecraft Dungeons. But like a roadmap of the game for the next year or two, where they expect to go, kind of like they used to do with Sea of Thieves.
I want to get into that. I haven't played it yet. My son was playing a little bit, and he's 4, so he doesn't know what he's doing. But it actually looked pretty decent. There's a lot of particle effects in that game that make it a very pretty game for, being something based off Minecraft.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Ninja Theory. And Ninja Theory obviously was Hellblade and Heavenly Sword, and they did the DMC. So we know Hellblade 2 is coming.
Yeah.
That trailer they released last December was, it was gorgeous and unsettling.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see anything else, or do you think it's just going to be Hellblade?
I would think at this point, especially because they're trying to sell the next gen, and it's, they make such pretty games that we're going to see gameplay. I'd imagine we'd have to see gameplay at this point.
I think so, because I don't think they'd go with the full motion video route for, being the whole presentation. But did you play Hellblade?
Yeah, okay. I actually played it when it first came out on PlayStation.
Okay. Yeah, that was one that another, again, Game Pass being what it is. I was thrilled not only when they bought the studio, but that it came to Game Pass. I mean, I think I sat down and I played it over the course of a weekend.
To me, that was the biggest Xbox surprise acquisition, because a lot of the studios they had already been working with somewhat, but there was a point in time where I actually thought that was a PlayStation studio.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, with Heavenly Sword, it was a PlayStation exclusive.
Well, and so was Hellblade was originally an exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, good pickup. That's recognizing talent right there. So next up is Obsidian Entertainment, who is, I mean, they're most recently known for The Outer Worlds, but also Fallout New Vegas, and they did Knights of the Old Republic 2, didn't they?
I don't remember if that was when they were a different studio. No, I think they were Obsidian at the time.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Do you think we're going to see anything new from them? Because Outer Worlds was not that long ago. That was last fall.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of rumors swirling with them and how big their studio is, and because I imagine we'll see something on Grounded. I think they could have a really big day.
I haven't checked that out yet. I think I downloaded the demo, but
that's a smaller group of developers. I want to say it's around 20 or less.
It looks neat.
I think we'll definitely see, I guess, more of a launch trailer, because it is around that time, at least for game preview.
That would
make sense. It should be coming out soon.
Yeah.
I think we'll see some Outer Worlds DLC announcement.
I think that would be smart.
And, I mean, we don't know. I mean, it sounds like they might have a lot in the tank. I don't know if we'll get an early look, like maybe a trailer at a new game they're working on.
There's been rumors of a Pillars of Eternity, a new Pillars of Eternity game. And I know that that's kind of their baby right now. So
I don't know, as far as Xbox goes, if that's a big draw. I mean, I guess if it's already in production, but at the same time, that's one that you look at and you go, well, what if they had a big budget on this?
Right. Yep. So, I don't know. I think they're probably the biggest question right now anyways, as far as what do they have ready to go. Because surely they don't need to show anything too early, given that they've already... it sounds like they... or in theory, they have things ready to go. Pretty near to launch anyways. Then there's Rare, who is most well-known right now for Sea of Thieves, but obviously Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark...
Battletoads.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Battletoads.
Yeah, Battletoads is... I think we'll get a release date on Battletoads, but that's not a rare... Are they
making
that's not a rare game,
that's
but
what I thought.
It popped up, so I don't think a lot needs to be said about that game, other than I hated it and loved it as a child because it was fun to play, but it was a difficult game.
Did you watch the demo from last year?
Yeah, I don't remember it much, but I remember I liked the art style fine.
See, I think you're rare there because... Okay, no pun intended, but... everything I heard was that the art style was not well received, and a few months ago there was a rumor going around that they may have retooled it to look different. So I'm anxious to see what they've done.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm fine with it. That's not a big budget game, and if it comes out and it's good, that's fine.
Yep. But I think that, obviously, so we know that they're working on Everwild, right? Which is their next game. We haven't seen much on it. And I have
no clue what that game is. I saw it, but I have no clue.
Right, because all we got was a trailer for the most part. I mean, it almost looked like a fantasy world-based Sea of Thieves in a way.
Walking simulator.
Yeah. I am anxious to see what that is, though. I mean, it was definitely a pretty game. So seeing what they're able to do with that. I also think that we might get an announcement for like a texture pack or something for an upgrade for your Xbox Series X, something to kind of just make you want to dust that game off if you've taken time away from it.
Sea of Thieves.
What did I say?
You didn't say Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah, Sea of Thieves. My bad. Yes, Sea of Thieves. Well, I thought it. Next up, we have the Coalition, who's known for Gears and Gears and Gears. And Gears.
Yeah, that's all they've ever made is Gears.
Yep. So, I mean, Gears 5's already out. My only prediction here is that we'll maybe see some DLC.
I don't even know if we'll see that. Maybe a texture upgrade, but I'm willing to bet we don't see anything from the core Gears franchise would be my guess, because that's just something that they can save for a later date. I think that they're going to have enough to show off this show.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, because they don't have to bring everything out, but I don't know. I guess in my mind, they're just going to try to tout everything that they have possibly.
I do think that we'll see a release date, because they haven't given a release date yet that I'm aware of for Gears Tactics.
Oh, yeah, okay.
For the console. It's out on PC already, but it's not out
sorry.
on console.
I knew what you meant, but yeah, that's good that you specified. No, that's a really good point. I tend to forget about that game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was well received, but I'd completely forgotten about a console version. So next we have Turn 10, who is known for the Forza franchise. Well, part of the Forza franchise, Forza Motorsport. Do you think we're going to see anything from them?
Originally, because they took a year off of that franchise, that one and Horizon, which is made by Playground completely.
And if traditionally they had gone, we would have gotten
every other
Forza
year.
last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or Forza Motorsport last year.
But at the same time, it was a good point that they're promoting the Dirt series so much.
I was going to bring that up. Because for me, it was a foregone conclusion. I mean, 6 months ago that we were going to get a Forza game at launch. But, I mean, it is. They've really been pushing Dirt.
Heavy.
And I don't know why you would really promote, a racing game that isn't Forza if you have Forza ready to go.
Yeah.
So you think maybe that's a spring release?
Maybe they do make it off a little bit. I don't know. But it leads me to think that they may not talk about it, or at least that it's not coming out this year.
I think that could be the case. I'm almost wondering if we're going to see them readjust now that they have so many studios, the cadence of their games, because traditionally we'd see that in late September.
Yeah, around holiday-ish release.
Yeah, so I don't know. That'll be interesting. I really would have thought that would have been a safe bet, but
the launch title.
The Dirt conversation has definitely changed that. Undead Labs. I know you're a big fan of State of Decay.
Never played the second one, really, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Any particular reason?
I think I got pretty excited about it early on, and then it seemed like it had a lot of the same issues that the first one did, and I just wasn't that interested in jumping in, even though I know there was more depth. Probably there were other games that I can't remember at that time that also took my interest.
I think that happens a lot. It's when something doesn't completely grab you, your attention gets onto something else and you just kind of forget about it.
There's so many games now, so many great games that we don't have time to play.
Well, I'm not going to lie, after seeing the demo that they did with the loading time differential for that game, but with the Series X versus the Xbox One X, did you see that?
Yeah. It was way faster.
I may just wait. I mean, might as well take advantage, right?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think that we'll see anything new out of them. I'd be surprised. Maybe some DLC?
Maybe a trailer.
Okay.
If anything.
Something that shows
new. DLC is possible, because I always like the idea of when maybe a developer isn't sure about a feature, so they tend to release it as DLC just to see how the community feels about it.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like the Xbox All Digital Edition seems to be kind of a, hey, let's see how this holds out.
Yep.
And then before we get into our probably what's going to drive the most of the conversation, there's also World's Edge, who is the Age of Empires studio. Have you heard any rumblings coming out of that? Because I'll be 100% honest, I haven't really heard much, and I haven't been paying attention.
I haven't heard anything, but that's also not really a game that's my style, I would say.
I wouldn't be
real-time
surprised strategy games. I'm primarily a console gamer, so we don't see a lot.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got some type of a console announcement, because they haven't mentioned that for console whatsoever.
Yeah. But again, you don't want to throw two real-time strategy games out and give them too much attention. So we'll see.
Yeah, and they've showed them both in the past.
Together?
Same show, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I am wrong then. Let's just get out for the studio that we really don't know what's going on with the initiative. The only rumor that we have right now is that they may be working on a Perfect Dark game.
Yeah. I think one important thing to note is while that's supposed to be Xbox's AAA studio, there are articles out there that you can find where they talk about starting small. So their first game, I wouldn't expect... It might be really good. I'd expect it to be good, but it might not be those quadruple A Sony level games that you tend to expect.
I would like to see... I loved the first two Perfect Darks. I was not a big fan of the 360 game that came out. I would, if they're going to do Perfect Dark, I would like to see them maybe just do a complete revamp on it, like their own take.
It's been a long time since the last one.
It has, but I think if they come out with a first-person shooter, I'm going to be a little let down just because, we get that. If it's a shooter in general, I think I might be a little let down. I would almost like to see them try to retool it as a, Tomb Raider-esque style game.
Blended with a James Bond agent style.
Absolutely. You could even, go the Hitman route or something that's a little more stealthy.
I wouldn't even mind, even though
Splinter Cell,
fans
maybe.
of the series might hate me if it went more over the top. Think Saints Row 3 first two missions with like the bank vault where you're hanging from it and you're shooting people down.
Oh, that would be interesting. I don't know if I would go that far, but
I don't mean like as silly, but like big.
Oh, okay, like
big sequences,
like big action type thing. Yeah, maybe. I could also just go for like an espionage game. It is, as long as it feels unique and it feels like there was a reason to do it.
I really hope that it's one of those things where if they did it, it was them having a discussion, be like, I like this game, and someone else was like, I liked it too. I have this idea that's been in my head, and because there is a lot of talent at that studio, I'm hoping that it was something they wanted to make and they had a vision for it if they're making that.
Yeah, because otherwise I'd rather it just be something completely new. Yeah. Period. I'll quickly say before we get into the good stuff, not that any of that wasn't good, but I know they've said it's their first party lineup. Do you think we're going to see like a compilation? I do. I think we'll see, probably something that shows a compilation of Madden, maybe Cuphead. Oh, Cuphead. I didn't think about that.
I actually had that on my list as I would not be shocked if there was a Cuphead too.
Well, there's a DLC that is supposed to be coming out. Yeah. It's the Delicious Last Course DLC. Yeah. Get it? But we don't have a release date for that. I bet we get a release date for that at least. And then I'm sure we'll get in that highlight reel AC Valhalla, some more of that.
Plus some of those. I guarantee you they'll do one of those ID at Xbox rolls where you tend to pick out a game. They scroll real fast and your eyes really catch a few certain games, like it did with Cuphead one year for me when I was like, whoa, what is that? And
yeah,
had to
was
look
that
it
a
up
game?
Immediately.
Yeah. And then, maybe some Cyberpunk in there.
I think they will since they have the marketing agreement. Also, I don't know where it's at, but Elden Ring?
Yeah, that would actually be a pretty big deal. I think there's a lot of people anticipating that game, and with Sony announcing the Demon's Souls remake, that would be something for Microsoft to, I think, wave a flag on and be like, hey, we still have this coming.
And for those unfamiliar, that's the one that I guess is helped designed or at least written by George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, definitely not designed. I think just helping with the story.
I mean, I didn't know if maybe he gave an idea of like what areas are supposed to look like and things like that,
okay.
Which is kind of a design.
Gotcha.
Aspect.
I thought you meant like gameplay wise. No. I'm like, I don't see. I mean, that could be wrong. He might have the greatest game ever ready to go in his mind, but he needs to be working on Game of Thrones anyways. And then there's it's Tell Me Why by Don't Nod.
Yeah.
Is that an exclusive for Xbox?
It's Xbox Game Studios published.
Okay. Then in that case, we'll probably see a little bit of that.
What about Starfield by Bethesda Game Studios? It's been about 4 or 5 years since we've seen a full release from them with Fallout 4. 76 was partially developed by a side studio, and I don't think Bethesda's doing an event this year. It doesn't sound like it, and based on what they showed at PlayStation, I wonder if it'd be time to show that one off a little bit.
See, that's funny, because I was literally going to say, no, I don't think we'll see anything, but you made a pretty good case for it there. I don't know. They've been so quiet on that, and I know that they've retooled so much with Fallout 76. It would be interesting to see what they have ready to show for that. I just felt the way they announced it, like it was years and years away.
I don't really know how much involvement they have with that at this point, though.
Okay.
But
that would be neat. I mean, it's Bethesda. You got to be a little excited to see what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it is a little janky.
It's a feature.
Yes, yeah. Not a bug, it's a feature.
Now let's talk about the worst kept secret in all of games. Playground Game Studio developing a new Fable game. But before we get into the discussion, we want to let you know the results of a poll that we ran across the Fable Fans Guild group on Facebook and our Twitter account, which you can find at ZeroXP Podcast
on Twitter.
The results are 137 of you said you wanted a prequel, 31 said a sequel, and 20 wanted a reboot. Is there anything that surprises you about those results?
Yeah, pretty much all of that surprises me. I didn't think I was in the minority here, but I want a complete reboot, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I want a complete reboot as well. I wasn't fully surprised. I guess I was surprised, and I don't have any of the comments in front, but how many people really didn't want a reboot? That part surprised me. Not so much the results, but how much people seem to hate the idea of a reboot.
Maybe it's just the idea of not knowing where they'll take it if they reboot it.
Most people seem to want it to go back to the old kingdom, which if you were going to do a prequel does make sense to me because it's so far back that it seems like you could do a lot of games before you end up running into the Fable 1 timeline.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm not against that idea. I just, in my head, you know what? Let's back up just a little bit, just to clear a way for the conversation. I just quickly want to point out that Playground obviously is known for Forza Horizon, right?
Yes. And
for years, they've been amping up making an RPG, and everybody assumes it's going to be Fable, but we don't have any concrete proof.
Well, we do have the Eurogamer article where they said that they confirmed it through their anonymous source.
Okay.
But
still
Eurogamer is pretty...
Yeah.
I mean, they're more believable than most sites out there, for sure.
There's also been a lot of speculation on what's going to come if this is a Fable game, which I think most of us kind of... If it turns out not to be a Fable game, I think people are just going to be shocked. But there's been a lot of rumors swirling about it, and it's been, I mean, all over the place. A couple weeks ago, something that, came out was, obviously, we talked about a little bit on one of our shows, the... Fable Twitter, being activated and things like that. And then out of that came some rumors that it was going to be a dark, gritty reboot and that it was going to be photorealistic and things of that nature. And then, Patrick, you had mentioned a supposed leak from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any legitimacy to this myself, but it said, first person, third person, which... Fine,
that'd be kind of neat, sure, yeah.
In-depth character creator, yes. Completely open. I don't find that as necessary as some people, just as long as you have big areas to discover.
Yeah.
I'd say. No guns, absolutely yes. Can ignore main quests and never become a hero. That's interesting, but I wonder how likely something like that would be.
I mean, I guess you could technically do that with any of the games if you don't finish them.
Town building, absolutely. Multiplayer, maybe depending on the multiplayer.
Yeah.
I don't know if by that they mean co-op or versus or anything.
Depending on how it's done, I'd be interested.
But then it gets into the part where Albie and Aurora are gone. It basically, just to sum it up, a asteroid hit the planet and destroyed it, and everything goes back in time. and you rebattle the Jack of Blades, and all of that honestly sounds horrible to me.
That's kind of where things fall off. I mean, I think there was more details. Somebody built a spire, made a wish, a comet would destroy the planet. Teresa and a guild were preserved behind like a demon door, and you're stopping somebody else from making a wish, or the original person also made a wish that another comet would come and destroy the world later, so you're trying to stop that.
And also, there was a video that was taken down that shows off some of this. As far as it does blend in some parts from the previous games, but a lot of people were confused by there's a character creator, which was actually on the Unreal Store, was a character pack you could buy.
Oh, really?
It was proven, yeah.
Okay.
And then, but there's certain things like we don't know where the music came from, and there's a few scenes in that video that we have no clue where they came from. But that doesn't mean that they aren't some type of product that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to be fair, just because, we found the asset packs doesn't mean they didn't just use those to basically do a proof of concept, but it just all seems very unlikely.
Yeah.
And hopefully is unlikely.
This was one that I would love to, if you've made it this far into the episode, I would love to hear, through email, on Twitter, whichever, what your thoughts are. I mean, as far as just like, what do you want out of another Fable game? Because hopefully we have an answer soon. But, well, that said, let's make our predictions here. What do you think we're going to see? Are we going to see it?
Well, can we talk about I'm going to talk a little bit about what I hope they don't do. And that's
approach it any way you want.
What I hope that they don't do is come in, or, I guess I almost said walk out on stage, but it's not that kind of event anymore.
Right.
But show like a picture and just be like, hey, we're making a new Fable game. Because at that point, it'd be like, well, thanks for telling us what Eurogamer told us 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think, especially with how terrible of a kept secret it's been, they can't do that at this point. They got to do something more. What I'm hoping to see, at least, I've never been a big fan, but I still wouldn't mind it. Those CG trailers.
Yeah.
It'd be fine. Maybe it gives you an idea of what the game is, but in the past, it doesn't always give you an idea of what the game really is.
I think I want that as a minimal. Like, that's my preference, that if there's nothing else, a CG trailer.
I don't know at this point if we would get full gameplay, but what I would actually be happy with if they went a 5 or 6 minute tech demo where maybe they go around some of the worlds that you're going to be exploring, showing off grass physics or whatever. Because, I mean, it's from the Forza Horizon games, and if you're not familiar with them, their lands are beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
I have no doubt that if this game is real...
Actually, didn't Sea of Thieves water come from Forza?
Graphically, I think a bit, yes, but I think like the physics... which is one cool part about all these studios coming together. I believe the physics were developed by Rare and given back to Playground.
Oh. You scratch our back, we scratch yours kind of
thing.
That's cool.
Basically, with all that, I'm sure Fable will be able to be like, instead of taking the time to develop the beauty and the physics, just be like, let us have it.
Yep. Yeah. I'm kind of the same. I really don't want just a logo. I think that would look bad at this point, because realistically somebody could Photoshop a logo together and be like, we're working on it, in 2 days.
And there are many of those already on the internet.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it would be great to see. I would like to see gameplay. I would like to see, proof of this is where it's heading, and maybe get a feel for the setting.
Yeah.
One thing I really don't want it to go any further into the future.
No.
But I actually have a weird take on that. It would not surprise me if it was rebooted as a steampunk game.
I mean, they could do whatever they wanted with it at this point, but I would hope that they don't.
Yeah, I don't either, but I could see that being a thing. One thing, but I truly, at the end of the day, like if they were like, it's a space game, Fable, I'd probably just quit my life.
Another thing, if they show a sequel, I hope it's not along the lines of Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a fine game. Don't think I'm knocking that game. But they took a lot of elements from a bunch of other games and that are good elements and made it into a game. And while you'd like to see, if they do show gameplay, Fable evolve and take some of those elements, I don't want it to... Fable's always been a bit experimental, and I don't want it to be a clash of things that worked well. The game might be good, but I mean, anyone that's a fan of the series, you almost kind of love their failures in some ways because they take chances and they innovate.
Well, again, that's why our podcast is dedicated to the franchise, is because of the things that we love from it. Okay, but I don't want to get too far into speculation or trying to say the things that they need to put in there that we don't want them to lose, because I feel like that's a different episode for the future. And we're also going to be recording on Thursday our reactions to the Xbox Game Showcase. We're going to record that and hopefully get it up the same day. If not, it should be ready and available early Friday morning.
And hopefully a Fable reaction.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Otherwise, I'd be like, why did we do this again? But I do feel like that's something that we probably need to hold off, because we're already long for our normal show, and we could probably go for another hour if we're just going to talk about things.
Yeah, that could easily
include.
Be its own episode.
Yeah, maybe we'll
episodes.
Do that. Yeah.
But one more thing before we close out, I'd like to point out, if they show a trailer and they make a fart noise at the end of it, I will pre-order that game immediately. And then maybe cancel that pre-order if they come out with an exclusive console. They fart at the end of that trailer, I am sold.
Okay, so your want is a giant fart. Okay.
Well, that just kind of goes in line with the previous Fables.
Yes.
Be like, okay, they get it. They farted at the end of the trailer.
Okay, now I'm on the same page. I get what you're going for.
They get the game.
Let's hope.
Thank you for joining us for a bonus episode of the ZeroXP podcast. We plan to have more bonus episodes up this week, including a tier maker and post-Xbox Game Showcase event reaction. And after that, we'll be back to our normal routine of all things Fable. Before we go, we'd like to give thanks to those who helped us contribute to the show. ZeroXP logo was designed by Jameson Johns. You can find him at behance.net/Jameson Johns. Music by Odd Reference. You can find him at facebook.com/odd.reference. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, or review on your podcast service of choice. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, or constructive criticism, you can contact us at ZeroXP Podcast on Twitter or email us at ZeroXPPodcast@gmail.com. If you're on YouTube, you can leave us a comment. We read all of them.
And a quick thanks to everybody who voted in our poll. And as always, until next time, stay safe out there. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.